10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, I'm Brett Hooker and my channel is I Love Dirt. And I've just arrived in Cooper Creek, fantastic location down in southwest Queensland near Winching. And this video is about my Land Cruiser. It's just clicked over 100,000 kilometres and boy has it taken me some places already. We've got many more places planned, but this video is about the places it's been and some of the key things that I like about the vehicle and why I built it this way. Enjoy! So I just want to share some thoughts about why I built this Land Cruiser the way I did and the features that I added to it. And one of the first things I really focused on was safety and trying to manage the risks that come with four-wheel driving. And so really good steel bull bar with those side bars and the side steps, which are also rock sliders, were really important to me, because I knew that would give us some protection around the vehicle from trees and you know, other things that might happen on the road. And then I wanted to be able to have self-recovery so that if I was out and about and I needed to be able to get myself out of a bind. So I've got the winch covered there. I'll show you a rear winch in a minute, but also rated recovery points underneath the vehicle there. So having the winches on the vehicle were really important. If you're out there driving in the desert, in the bush, on the remote highways at night, being able to see is really important. So the upgraded spotties were key. And certainly having a couple of different options on communication was really important to me. So, and I made sure I added the safari snorkel in there just so I had good coverage for when I was, you know, if I had to do water crossings and deep water crossings, and etc. So you know, really making sure I had the vehicle set up for safety and risk management was important. Just showing there that I've got an air compressor on board too, so if I have to lower the tyres, I can, and I can put them back up again really easily. Then the next consideration was ride quality. I really wanted the vehicle to be really smooth. Sometimes it takes days to get to the start of a track, so, and a lot of corrugations out there. So we wanted good wheels, good tyres, good suspension. The Land Cruiser starts out really well, but just wanted to make sure that for this vehicle with this setup that we had really good gear for making sure that the ride was smooth. So really happy with that investment in the vehicle. And then food preparation and being able to access food while we're on these long drives is really important. So we really invested heavily in the way the canopy works here on this side in the kitchen area. So we've got an upright fridge, and that gives us a backup as well. So we've got the fridge in the trailer that we tow, but we've also got a fridge here. So if something goes wrong with one of the fridges, at least I've got cross coverage with the fridge, but also really good storage, pantry storage and bench space here. So, you know, during a day we can just pull over and set up a meal when we're doing the long drive. So that was really important. Now, electrical setup was critical in the vehicle. I wanted to make sure that I had duplicate or redundant power so that if anything happened in the camper, that I could provide power from the vehicle. I can actually charge my camper from the vehicle when I need to, and vice versa. 200 amp hour lithium in the vehicle, so I've got plenty of power in the vehicle and plenty of solar to keep it charged. So the folks here at Battery World at Custom Off-Grid Solutions did a really good job of working with me to build the system out to suit exactly the kind of electrical requirements that I had. So kudos to the folks there, really good team to work with. Now, storage and being able to get things away was really important to me. So it was absolutely critical that I had big drawers inside the canopy. There's lots of gear that I carry all the time, and I wanted to make sure that was safely tucked away inside drawers so I wasn't having to tie boxes and things like that down. So these drawers are a critical part of what we do. And then the drifter pull-out table is just a godsend. This thing is so handy. There's just so many times on camp where we've just pulled up and we just pull that table out and we get going. So really intentful design here in terms of storage inside the camper. And here's that look at that rear hitch, that rear winch as well. So just part of my safety and recovery systems in the vehicle. Now, a really important thing here was water storage. I wanted to make sure that I had plenty of extra water on the vehicle. So I've got a 70-litre water tank on the vehicle, as well as the water that I carry in the trailers. And hand in hand with that was long-range fuel tank. I wanted to make sure that if I had to skip a town, because a particular town didn't have fuel or something like that, that I had plenty of range in the way the vehicle was set up with fuel. So I've got a big long-range fuel tank in the vehicle, and it's just been such a benefit on all these big long drives that we do, to know that we can set out from home and we can drive for 2 days without having to worry about fuel at all. So 275 litres of fuel on board inside the vehicle really makes it easier for the long drives that we do. Well, cheers, everyone. That's a quick sort of overview of the things that, some of the things I've done to set up the vehicle, and I'm so happy with it. After these first 4 years, it's really settled down really nicely now. So very happy with how the vehicle's set up. And now I want to talk about some of the trips that I've done in the vehicle. Cheers.
Go ahead and click the subscribe button and the like button to let other people know what we're doing, and for you to stay up to date with the content we're producing.
So I built the Landcruiser to be an off-road tourer, and I really wanted to get around and start seeing some of this big country of ours, and I'm really just getting started. We've done the first 100,000 kilometres in the first 4 years. And we've really just sort of gotten around southwest Queensland. We've done a lot of trips down there, and I'll talk about that. We've gotten up to the top, we've got up to the Cape, and we've got down to see some of the high country, but there's still heaps more to see. No rush though, it's a 10 or 15 year plan with the vehicle. So heaps of country still to see, but we've gotten right into it. So I just want to share with you some of the places I've been and some of the experiences I've been able to enjoy with the vehicle so far. Okay, so one of the first trips we did with the vehicle, we actually went up to the top of Cape York, up to the tip, went up there with my parents. And one of the key things about this trip is that we didn't actually want to go down the telly track and some of those more advanced tracks on this trip, because my folks had a new caravan and a new vehicle, and they hadn't done a trip like this before, and that isn't something that they were interested in doing. So the key of this trip was to go with my folks, to support them in their trip up there. And we actually went up the Peninsula Development Road. We went up the middle, and we did some of the side trips off there. So we saw some of the things like Fruitbat Falls, etc. But we went right through to the tip using that central road, the PDR, and got to see the Cape, got right up there, got over to Thursday Island. It was just an amazing trip. And it was a good intro for me, because it gave me a sense of how the Cape works. And now that's on my to-do list, to get out there and do some of those other trips. And that'll come up in the years to come. But that's a tip for you folks. If you don't want to do the crazy tracks that you see on the Cape, don't worry. You can go straight up the middle on the Peninsula Development Road and see a lot of that stuff without having to drive those tracks. Now, an important trip for me was to get back to Fraser Island. The previous vehicle that I'd had, a Mitsubishi Pajero, I'd had that vehicle for 17 years. And that vehicle had been on Fraser Island probably 50 times. I've taken so many friends and family for trips up onto Fraser. So I was really looking forward to getting back onto Fraser Island in the Landcruiser. And we had a cracker of a trip. We went over there with a couple of friends and their families, and we stayed at a house down near Yurong, and then we went out for day trips and got around the island. And it's just fantastic to get back on there and really enjoy it. And gee, it was such easy going with the Landcruiser out over there. There were jokes amongst everyone around, when we were going up some of those internal tracks and things like that, when the sand was really powdery and dry, that the cruiser just literally lived by its name. It just cruised up those hills, no trouble at all. And that's important to me, because when I do trips more out to the desert and some of the more remote places, I really did want the vehicle set up well for that kind of touring, so that it didn't struggle when I was trying to take a trailer and my gear and whatever else I'm doing into some of those places. So absolutely love Fraser, one of the most beautiful places in the world to see. You should definitely get up there and see it. If you've got a normal four-wheel drive, you can absolutely get up to Fraser and check it out. So really enjoyed getting up here. Love Fraser. Now, the next place I wanted to mention was a campsite down on it's in New South Wales, just south of the Queensland border, down near Stanthorpe. It's a campsite called Cullendore High Country, and I've been down there heaps of times. In fact, we've had our last 4
Christmases at Cullendore High Country. We go down there on Boxing Day and stay down there for at least a week. And we've loved going to Cullendore and been down there heaps of times with the cruiser. Now, Cullendore for us is more base camping. So we take our trailers down, we take our vehicles down, we invite others in, and we set up and we camp for 7 to 10 days right through to New Year's. And part of this vehicle setup is that it is really well set up for base camping as well. Lots of power, lots of water, lots of storage, lots of gear. So kudos to Cullendore High Country. Wendy and Stuart down there run a fantastic place. If you're looking for a place to stop and really enjoy your camping, definitely check out Cullendore High Country. Now, one of the cool things I get to do, I'm involved in Scouts Australia and I'm involved in the 4-wheel drive adventurous activity for Scouts Queensland. And every year, the beginning of December, there's a major camping event for venturers called Noosa Venture. And myself and a bunch of other leaders actually run 4-wheel drive trips as a part of that activity, so youth members can get out and enjoy some 4-wheel driving, but also get out and see the bush and get out and see that beautiful beach area just north of Noosa. So we always take them up to Double Island Point, and depending on the year, we'll go over to Rainbow Beach. We'll go through some of the state forest parks. And we really get around that area and give the youth members the opportunity to spend a day out in this beautiful part of the world that we've got. So I really, really enjoy Noosa Venture. I get to do that every year. We've got another one coming up. So that's been an important part of the journeys that I've been able to do with this vehicle. The Victorian High Country was a really special trip for us. We hadn't had the vehicle for long. We've got our drawer set up at this point. And Lexi and I headed down there and we were just camping out of the vehicle itself. So we had a couple of bunkers and we headed down there for a Drifter Fiends camping event for Victoria. It was a fantastic weekend. I apologise to everybody that was there because I brought the rain. It hadn't rained there in months. And of course, the weekend we were there, it rained heavily. And our good friends, Grant and Linda, really introduced us to what the ultimate camper can offer when it comes to wet weather camping. And they invited us in there when it was pouring down, and we really enjoyed relaxing in that camper. So great trip, met a lot of great people down there, really got to see the Ulti camper at its best for the first time. And great trip all around. Looking forward to getting down to the high country and spending more time down there. But that was a wonderful, wonderful trip that we did. Probably the most important part of the journeys that I've had with this Land Cruiser over the last 4 years is getting out into southwest Queensland. And I've been there in the last 4 years that I've had the vehicle. I've been out there 7 times for all different kinds of trips. I've been out there. I've been out there with my kids. I've been out there by myself. I've been out there with Lexi and my parents. I've been out there with Scouts and taken youth members from Scouts out there. So all kinds of different trips. Even this year, a family and friends trip. So really love going out there. It feels like old school traditional camping because you can get out in the desert and you can camp in wide open places and have a lot of privacy and really camp old style. But there's some absolutely amazing places out there. Kunji Lakes, just north of Innamincka, is just one of the most beautiful bird sanctuaries and national park areas. I got to spend a few days there by myself. Amazing. The Simson Desert, Innamincka, Birdsville, Innamincka, the Burke and Wills Dig Tree, Currawinga National Park. There's just an endless number of places that you can go to in southwest Queensland, and it's true outback. It's freedom. You can spend some time just exploring around the place. So I've been out there 7 times in the last 4 years, and I'm still finding things to go visit. I've got some friends that do a lot of touring and exploring, and they're still giving me lists of places to go visit. So I've really enjoyed it out there. It's true outback. For us, it's not that far from home. It's about 2 days to get out there, and then you can start exploring. So I've spent a lot of time out there, and I've made sure that I've taken the time to get other people out there and get them introduced to it. You can absolutely go and visit southwest Queensland with a standard 4-wheel drive. We took our Pajero Sport out there this year as well in our family and friends trip, and it handled itself wonderfully. But this area is really what this vehicle was built for. Long distance driving, over corrugations, camping in very remote areas. So having that extra fuel and that extra water in the vehicle, as well as in the camper trailer, means that I can get out into places like this and spend a week or two just exploring, knowing that I've got good coverage, I've got all the right safety equipment if I'm out there by myself, but it's also the right safety equipment if I'm out there with a group, and we need to make sure that we're helping each other out. So absolutely fantastic location. Highly recommend that you get out there. So I've really enjoyed my time out there. We've had a lot of fun with friends out there. I'll definitely be heading out there. We're planning to take youth members from Scouts out there again next year. So really, really great spot. So Southwest Queensland, 2 thumbs up from me. And it'd be remiss of me not to mention the rain, because, you know, when I go traveling, it seems to rain a lot. Really happy with how my setup works in the rain, though. Really great setup. So kudos to rain. It's been an epic 100,000 kilometres with my Land Cruiser already, and we're absolutely only just getting started. So hopefully I'll see you out there. Enjoy the drive. Cheers.